Good morning, dear children, and welcome in the English classroom for class 11. As you know, we are doing one lesson from the Hornbill uh, landscape of the soul. Part 1 we have completed, so we'll continue with part 2. A little bit about the author and overall impression of the lesson. Then after we'll go to that part of part 2. Nathalie Trevorroy is the wife of Guy Trevorroy, about the author, okay? Ex-Belgium ambassador to India. She is an art historian. She holds a master's degree in history of art and archaeology from University of Belgium. She is well known for her translated work City of Zines, a book by William Dalrymple. Now the chapter comprises of two parts. The author has taken the first part from the landscape of the soul, ethics and spirituality in Chinese painting. The second part has been derived from Getting Inside, Outsider Artist. Getting Inside is an article that was published in the Hindustan Times in 2005. It is written by Bindra Suri. Introduction to the lesson. The main theme of the chapter is about arts. It revolves around the art of painting told through the help of various stories. We learn about Chinese painters and their works as well as the story behind them. Similarly, the second part explores the concept of art brought, meaning the art of the ones who have no right. Thus, we learn a great deal about art and its history in this chapter. The chapter is about how different the Chinese art form is from the European art form. The writer uses two stories to make a contrast. European art is about reproducing an actual view, whereas Chinese art is about not creating a real landscape. European art is an artist's way to let viewers show exactly what he wants them to see in the landscape, whereas Chinese art is the artist's spiritual and inner voice where you can travel from one point and it lets the viewer create a path for their imagination. So few word meanings are there that will I have discussed a little bit and few more will discuss later on. So we'll have a little bit recapitulation of the part that we have done in part 1. So basically in part 1 two stories were there, anecdotal description, okay, about one Chinese art of Wu Daozi and another was a Western painter, okay, of Antwerp that we have seen. So the contrast, okay, that will try to understand difference between the Chinese and Western paintings. Chinese painting, it is based on an imaginative inner and spiritual approach, and Western painting, it is meant to reproduce an actual view of the scene. Next, Chinese painting, it aims at achieving the essence of inner life and spirit, whereas the Western painting, it tries to achieve a perfect illusionistic likeness. Chinese painting, the onlooker is free to enjoy the painting from his point of view, whereas Western painting, the artist wants the onlooker to borrow his eyes to enjoy it. Okay. Now we'll go to the text and try to understand the part which we are going to deal with in this part. Okay. Now see, in our text we have done the first part, so we'll start from here. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view. I am repeating this point because this is the most important part and you can say the soul of this lesson, okay. A Chinese classical landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view as would a Western figurative painting. Figurative painting means what? A metaphoric representation of the real view or the real scene, you can say. Means what? Western painters, they want to reproduce the reality and they are seeking to get a kind of illusionistic likeness. It will appear so real that the onlookers will get confused whether it is real or painting. Whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. The Chinese painters does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point, then travel it. So this is what is the conceptual difference. Okay, now we'll scroll down and we'll come below. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, who decides as what pace he will travel through the painting, a participation which is physical as well as mental. The Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes. He wants you to enter his mind. His landscape is an inner one, the spiritual and conceptual space. Means what? Basically, the difference that the author wants to underline here between the Chinese and the Western painting is that when Western painters wants to create a kind of illusionistic world. Okay, it means what? That will draw something with so perfection that it would appear as if real. On the other hand, Chinese painter will try to create a kind of picture where the onlookers will find their way, okay, and they will try to find their own meaning, okay, and they will get a kind of a conceptual space. Now we'll go to the next part. The concept is expressed as sansui. This is another concept that we are getting. Okay, this concept is expressed as sansui, which this concept is talking about this conceptual space. What is conceptual space? We'll get here. So literally, mountain water which used together represent the world landscape. Okay, so in the landscape, what do we get? Mountain and water. More than two elements of an image. These represents two contemporary poles reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is young, reaching vertically towards heaven, stable, warm and dry in the sun, while the water is yin, okay, horizontal and resting on the earth, fluid, moist and cool. Now it said what? That actually the Chinese painter want to reflect a kind of conceptual space. What is that? Say, imagine that the sky and earth, okay, between that who are there? Human being. And human being want to create a kind of picture where mountain which represent the male or masculine concept, isn't it? Whereas which is being termed as yang, okay, in Chinese language, and yin is water, okay, which reflect a kind of feminine kind of a this impression. The interaction of yin, the receptive feminine aspect of the universal energy, and its counterpart yang, active and masculine, is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. What is often overlooked is an essential third element, the middle void. Void means gap, space, okay, vacuum, where their interaction takes place, and this can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayama, okay. The pranayama or yogic practice also, what we want to try? We want to try get assimilation with nature, okay. Breathe in, retain, breathe out. The suspension of the breath is the void where meditation occurs. Means between breathe in and breathe out, in between the time when we try to assimilate with nature, and that is called yoga or meditation or pranayama. Okay, the middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence, the importance of the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape. In Chinese landscape also, this white part or unpainted part actually reflect that part where this void, okay, between the mountain and water, okay. And this is also where man finds a kind of fundamental role. In that space between heaven and earth, he becomes the conduit, means conduit of a kind of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential. Even if it's only suggested, far from being lost or oppressed by the lofty peaks, he is Francois Cheng's wonderful expression, the eye of the landscape. So in between human being lives, okay, and it's called eye of the landscape, where who through the eye of the human being they is to perceive the nature, and is to brought down on the board the landscape, okay, picture of the landscape. So this is what is the concept of art. So we'll see that what is the concept of that conceptual space is being talked about. Mountain and water. Mountain has been termed as the yang, and water yin, okay, and in between the space is there, and that space actually represents where human being lives, okay, and that is being represented through the white space or the unpainted space in a painting. So in this way the Chinese painter to express this one. Now this has been excerpt from the Landscape of the Soul, Ethics and Spirituality in Chinese Painting, slightly edited, that I already have discussed. Now I am going to the second part, okay. Now outsider art. Who are those actually? And before that I would like to show you something. Now can you recognize this man? This man, he is Nek Chand Saini. If you have seen the rock garden in Chandigarh, actually that was a wonderful creation of this man, okay. So we'll read a little bit about this a man, great person, okay. Nek Chand Saini was a road inspector in the early 50s, supervising the construction of roads in Chandigarh, the capital of the Punjab. The artist in him discovered in the building and industrial waste a noble resource for his creativity. The rock garden is an entirely self-motivated endeavor. His first received public recognition when his garden was formally inaugurated and titled the Nek Chand's Rock Garden by the Chief Commissioner of Chandigarh in the year 1976. So in this way, see, art lovers and institutions from around the world would have paid tribute to this talented craftsman who continues to work and delight the world with his noble inspiration. So this is what is Nek Chand. We'll see little bit the work of Nek Chand. You can see this one, this rock garden. If you have seen, you might have seen this kind of different structures, rock garden. Yeah, one more. You see how beautifully the waste materials have been used, okay, to recreate something. So this is a nice way of representing art, okay. So all these things are actually being created by Nek Chand, and he had created, see how rocks have been placed to given this art. This one you can see in the rock garden. More pictures are there. You can see how beautifully these are being represented, okay. So this is called, and they are actually, this is another form of art. So but the artists don't recognize them. We'll get that in this article now that we are going to do. Yeah, so here we are getting inside outsider art. Now outsider artists, who are called the outsider artists, they are called art brat actually. Means what? The artists association, they consider that they don't have any right to practice art because they don't have any formal kind of this education about that, okay. Now we'll see that what is their view. When French painter Jean Dubuffet mooted the concept of art brat in the 1940s, the art of the untrained visionary was of minority interest. From its almost veiled beginnings, outsider art has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in the contemporary art internationally. This genre means type or kind, is described as the art of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training yet show talent and artistic insight. So their works are a stimulating contrast to a lot of mainstream offerings. Around the time Duveffet was propounding his concept in India, an untutored genius was creating paradise. And who is he? Mr. Nek Chand. Years ago, the little patch of jungle that he began clearing to make himself a garden sculpted with stone, and you can see this picture, stone and recycled material, is known to be the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. Its 80 years old creator director Nek Chand is now hailed as India's biggest contributor to outside art. The 50th issue, spring 2005, of Raw View, a UK-based magazine, pioneer it in outsider art publication, features Nek Chand and his rock garden sculpture Woman by the Waterfall on its anniversary issue's cover. The notion of the art bird or raw art was of works that influences anything and everything from a teen to sink to a broken down car could be material for a work of art, something Nek Chand has taken to dizzying heights. Now, recognizing his art as an outstanding testimony of the difference a single man can make when he lives his dreams, the Swiss Commissioner for UNESCO will be honoring him by way of a European exposition of his works. The 5-month interactive show Realm of Nek Chand, beginning October, will be held at leading museum in Switzerland, Belgium, France and Italy. The biggest reward is walking through the garden and seeing people enjoy my creation, Nek Chand says. So this is one actually news item. An article was published in Hindustan Times, in the Hindustan Times on 20th August 2005 by Bindra Suri. So here actually your lesson comes to an end. Okay, so this is what we have seen, the basic concept of this one. Now we'll try to recapitulate this lesson, okay, with the following discussion. Okay, now we'll see the concept of sansui that we have discussed today. Okay, it is a Chinese word which literally means mountain, water. The two elements used together represent the world landscape. Mountain and water are two elements of an image. They also reflect the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang and water is yin. The mountain rises vertically towards heaven. Mountain is stable, warm and dry in the sun. It is masculine, active and strong. Water is horizontal and rests on the earth. It is fluid, moist and cool. Yin is receptive and feminine aspect of the universal energy. The interaction of yin and yang is a fundamental notion of Taoism. Means this is the cause of the creation of art. There is an essential third element, okay, the middle void, where interaction takes place. Man exists in the space between heaven and earth. This is the medium of communication between both poles of the universe, is the most important feature of the eye of the landscape. Now outside art, it refers to the art of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training yet show talent and artistic insight. Sri Nek Chand has won worldwide recognition for his unique contribution to outsider art. Using stone and recycled material, he has created many sculptures at Rock Garden, Chandigarh. Now in this way we'll see his art has been acclaimed as an outstanding testimony of the difference a single man can make when he lives his dream. Now in this way we have seen the contribution of the outsider artist here. Who is that? Mr. Nek Chand and his creation. So with this I'm going to conclude this lesson and conclude my lesson today, okay, and you will go to the assignment part and you will complete your assignment that is being attached along with this file. Thank you very much.